My name is Dylan. It's 2015. I'm 28 years old, and I work on oil rigs in northern Alberta, Canada. The rigs sit out in the middle of nowhere, flat, frozen land that stretches forever under a sky so wide it makes you feel small. In winter, the wind cuts through your coveralls like it's got teeth. In summer, the mosquitoes swarm so thick you can't take a breath without swallowing one. But the pay is good, real good. And back then I thought that was enough to build a life on. When I'm not on a 2-week rotation out on the rig, I pick up overnight shifts at a gas station just off Highway 43. It's a lonely stretch of road, mostly transport trucks hauling grain or oilfield equipment, the occasional lost tourist, and the odd local heading home after too many beers. The station's called Petro North. One pump's always broken, the coffee tastes like burnt plastic, the fluorescent lights buzz like angry wasps, but it's quiet, and quiet suited me just fine. I lived in a one-bedroom trailer on the edge of town, parked behind a rusted-out grain silo. My truck, a 2003 Ford F-150, with dents on every door and a heater that only worked on high, was my second home. Most nights I drive straight from the rig to the station, still smelling like diesel, sweat, and cold metal. I'd clock in, pour myself a cup of that terrible coffee, and settle in for 8 hours of watching the highway breathe in the dark. That's where I met Sophie. She started in late March. I remember because the snow had just begun to melt, leaving slush puddles that reflected the sky like broken mirrors. She walked in at 6 p.m. for her first shift, wearing a puffy red jacket 2 sizes too big and boots caked in mud. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, but strands kept escaping, framing her face like wild vines. She had freckles across her nose and eyes the color of weak tea, light brown, almost gold when the sun hit them. "Hi," she said, flashing a grin at Old Man Harris, the day shift cashier. "I'm Sophie. They said you'd show me the register?" Harris grunted and pointed to the machine like it was obvious. She laughed, not a polite chuckle, but a full, loud laugh that bounced off the chip bags and echoed down the aisles. It startled me. I was restocking motor oil in aisle 3 and nearly dropped a jug. That laugh, it didn't belong in that place. It belonged outside under open sky, wrapped in sunlight. It felt like hope. I didn't talk to her that first week. I kept to myself like always, but I noticed things. How she'd hum while scanning lotto tickets. How she always left a chocolate bar on the counter for the night shift guy, me, without saying a word. How she'd stare out the window during lulls like she was waiting for something to happen. Then one night around 3 a.m., the power went out. Just like that, lights off, coolers silent, the whole station plunged into black. I was in the back room counting cash. Sophie screamed just once, then laughed nervously. "You okay?" I called, stepping into the dim emergency glow from the exit sign. "Yeah," she said, voice shaky. "Just hate the dark." I grabbed the big flashlight from under the counter. "Here, keep it." She took it, fingers brushing mine. "Thanks. You're Dylan, right? The rig guy?" "Yeah, you smell like oil and something sweet." "Roses," I said before I could stop myself. "My mom used to grow them. I keep a dried one in my glove box. Superstitious thing." She smiled. "Chisel and roses. That's kind of beautiful." We stood there in the dark, flashlight beam cutting a yellow path between us. And just like that, the wall I'd built around myself cracked open. After that, we started talking. Real talking. Not just how's your shift, but what do you dream about? And what scares you most? She told me she'd moved from Edmonton after a bad breakup, needed a fresh start. She wanted to be a photographer, not weddings or portraits, she said. Real life. The quiet moments people miss. She carried an old Canon AE1 everywhere, loaded with black and white film. "Color lies," she told me once. "Black and white tells the truth." I told her about my dad, railroad man, died when I was 16. About how I left home with $200 in a backpack, hitchhiked to Fort McMurray, lied about my age to get on a rig crew. I didn't know how to do anything else, I admitted, but I could work hard. Still can. She listened like every word mattered, like I mattered. Soon, we weren't just co-workers. We were meeting after shifts at the Starlight Diner, 24 hours, vinyl booths cracked like old skin, coffee that could strip paint. We'd sit for hours, eating greasy eggs and hash browns, talking until sunrise painted the windows pink. She'd sketch in a notebook while I drank black coffee. Sometimes she'd reach across the table and squeeze my hand like she was making sure I was real. On my days off, we'd drive out to empty backroads, park the truck, and watch the northern lights.
Yo.
Alberta's sky at night is something else, so clear, so deep, it feels like you could fall into it. The aurora would ripple overhead, green and violet, silent and alive. Sophie would lie back on the hood of my truck, head in my lap, camera pointed up. "Look," she'd whisper, "it's dancing just for us." I'd run my fingers through her hair, still smelling faintly of gasoline and shampoo. In those moments, I didn't feel like a roughneck. I felt like a man who'd finally found something worth coming home to. She said I made silence feel safe. Most people fill quiet with noise, TV, music, chatter, like they're afraid of what they'll hear if everything stops. But with Sophie, silence was a blanket. We could sit for an hour without speaking, just watching snow fall or clouds roll in, and it never felt empty. It felt like breathing. Our love didn't creep in slow. It hit like a prairie wildfire, fast, hot, impossible to control. One day we were co-workers. The next I was texting her from the rig, "Miss your laugh," and she'd reply, "Miss your hands. Be safe, love." That phrase, "Be safe, love," became our anchor. Every message ended with it, every call. Even when I was covered in grime, exhausted, doubting if I was good enough, those words pulled me through. But then something shifted inside me. Maybe it was the isolation out on the rig. 2 weeks with the same 10 guys, same metal walls, same wind howling like a ghost. Maybe it was watching marriages crumble over radios, guys crying in the break room because their wives left them for someone who's actually home. Or maybe it was just me, my pride, my fear, the voice in my head that whispered, "She's too bright for you. She'll leave." So I did the stupidest thing I've ever done. I tested her. I stopped calling when I got back from rotation, didn't text for 3 days, told myself I was seeing if she really cared, if she'd chase me like I'd chase her. She did. Her first message, "Hey, you okay? Miss you." Second, "Dylan, everything all right?"
Third, "Please talk to me. I'm worried." I waited. Said nothing.
On day 4 she called. I let it go to voicemail. Day 5, "If you're mad at me, just say it. Don't disappear."
Day 6.
Silence. When I finally showed up at the station, she was different. Polite, guarded. She didn't hug me, didn't ask how the rig was, just nodded and said, "Hey." I panicked. I thought I'd broken us, so I tried to fix it. I brought her wildflowers I'd picked near the river, took her to Jasper for a weekend, hiking, hot springs, dinner at a place with real linen napkins. I stayed up all night listening to her talk about her dreams, her fears, her dead grandmother's recipes. I held her when she cried about her ex. I promised I'd never vanish again, and for a while, it worked. She softened, laughed like before, let me kiss her in the rain outside the diner. We found our rhythm again. I thought we were okay, but then Leah stepped in. Leah was Sophie's best friend since high school, sharp-eyed, sharp-tongued, worked at the library in town. She'd visit Sophie during breaks, always giving me this look, like I was a stray dog that might bite. At first I thought she was just protective, but soon I realized she hated me. One night I came to pick Sophie up, after her shift. Leah was there, leaning against her car, arms crossed. Sophie was inside, grabbing her coat.
"You're not good for her,"
Leah said flatly. I stopped. "Excuse me, she's lighter when you're gone," she said. "You disappear for weeks, then come back acting like you own her time, like she owes you something. That's not true, isn't it?
You test her. You pull away.
Then you show up with flowers like that fixes it. That's not love, Dylan. That's control." I wanted to argue, to tell her she didn't know me, but part of me wondered, was she right? I didn't say anything, just waited for Sophie, but Leah's words stuck, and she didn't stop there. Over the next few weeks I'd see them whispering in corners, Leah's hand on Sophie's arm, Sophie's face growing more distant. Once I overheard Leah say,
"You're shrinking yourself to fit into his life."
"When was the last time you took a photo, just because you wanted to?" Sophie started pulling away, slowly, quietly. Her texts got shorter.
"'Kay, fine. Sure.
Her hugs felt stiff, like she was holding her breath. She stopped looking me in the eye. I tried harder. Bought her a new roll of film. Planned a trip to Banff. Stayed late just to sit with her in the parking lot. But it was like trying to hold smoke. The night it ended, I knew before she said a word. It was late October. Frost coated the ground like sugar. She texted, "Can we talk?" At our spot. Our spot was a gravel pull-off on Range Road 215, where we'd watched the northern lights a dozen times. I got there first, sat on the hood, engine off, breath fogging in the air. She pulled up 10 minutes later, didn't get out right away, just sat in her car, headlights cutting through the dark. When she finally stepped out, she looked tired. Her eyes were red, but dry. She climbed onto the hood beside me, didn't touch me. "I can't do this anymore," she said. My chest tightened. "Do what?" "This." She gestured between us. "Guess the chasing, the guessing, the silence." "I'm trying, Soph. I swear I am." "I know you are," she said softly, "and I love you for it. But loving you, it feels like holding my breath, like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, for you to leave, or test me, or decide I'm not enough." "That's not." "It is," she cut in gently. "You don't trust me, and I don't know how to fix that. Leah says." "I don't care what Leah says. She's my best friend, Dylan, and she sees things I don't want to see." She turned to me then, eyes full of sorrow, not anger.
You're a good man.
"Strong, kind in your own way, but you don't know how to let someone love you without doubting it." I had no answer, because she was right. "I'm not leaving because I don't love you," she said, voice breaking just a little. "I'm leaving because I love myself enough to stop hurting." She slid off the hood, walked to her car, didn't look back. I watched her taillights fade down the empty road, until they vanished into the dusk. Then I sat there for hours, cold seeping into my bones, wind howling across the plains like it was mourning something lost. Now, it's 2025. 10 years later, I still work the rigs, still live in that same trailer, though I fixed the roof and painted the walls. My truck's older, rustier, but it still runs. I keep a dried rose in the glove box, same one from 2015. It's brittle now, petals crumbling, but I can't throw it away. Sometimes on quiet nights, I drive out to that pull-off on Range Road 215. I sit on the hood and look up. The northern lights still dance. The stars still burn cold and bright. I wonder if Sophie ever looks up and thinks of me. If she became the photographer she dreamed of. If she found someone who doesn't vanish. Someone who shows up fully, honestly, without games. I heard through a friend, she moved to Vancouver. Opens a little studio near Granville Island. Shoots portraits of kids, street scenes, old buildings. Happy, I hope. I never reached out. Didn't think I deserved to. Because I know the truth now. I didn't lose her to distance. I lost her to my own fear, my pride, my need to test love like it was a machine that might break. I started the fire that burned us down, and all I have left are the ashes, and the memory of a laugh that once felt like home. But sometimes when the wind dies down, and the world goes still, I swear I can still smell roses mixed with diesel, and for a moment I'm back in that pickup truck, under a sky full of light, with a girl who made silence feel safe. That's enough. It has to be.